So your authenticity, that's it. Thank you. So it's important to know who you are as a human. So as I was saying, coming over here, I didn't realize how much I needed to be around people that looks like me, because I definitely felt, so I mentioned earlier about the imposter syndrome. Well, once I started to go up the ladder and I was in these meetings with senior managers, I was a senior manager. I was in these meetings with senior managers and I literally felt the little black girl in the room, because I looked around. There were people that looked like me, so that wasn't the issue, but it was just more about, oh, they're going to realize that I'm not as good as I made out in that interview. And that maybe I don't know how to do this job. So I was just quiet in a lot of meetings, and it was noticeable because, one, I didn't feel very confident. Not that I didn't have the information, because I did, but I just didn't have the confidence to come forward and be like, ugh. So certainly being authentic in terms of who I am as a female, who I am as a Black woman, who I am as a Caribbean person. So understanding and being okay in your skin. So often living in the Western world, when you're going into workplaces, you have to put on this professional pro form. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but what it can do is it can strip us of our culture. It can strip us of ourselves. We have to kind of put on a mask. I felt like I had to put on a mask when I was going to work, and not really be myself. And one of the powerful things that happens when I went onto one of these leadership courses for Black and Asian leaders was that it was almost like we was given permission, even the wording, right? So in the UK, there's this term called BAME, which is Black and Asian Minority Ethnic. So that is how everyone is categorized if you're not white. So we're always othered. We're always the minorities. White is the default. We are the other people that seemingly don't really we're not that important. And so I went on to this training course and was introduced to this term of global majority. And I was like, what is this? So anybody who is from the global south, anybody who is Black, Asian, who is non-white, let's say, we make up 85% of the world population. We are not a minority, we are a global majority. So that is now my language. I turn up as a member of the global majority. And that means like I have an S on the back of my chest underneath my clothes, because I'm just like, well, actually, I'm not a minority. You can't minoritize me. I am a member of the global majority. We are 85%. England is this little island. I know that you guys were very powerful back in the day. You took away a lot of people's things. But the reality is that you're the minority. Not I'm going to call you that, but I'm a member of the global majority proudly. And it's just about now being able to turn up to meetings and have those conversations. I was in a meeting about an adoption work that's currently been going on about the horrific statistics for Black children who are waiting to be adopted. It's awful. There's a lack of Black adopters coming forward. I wonder why. People do not trust the systems. So it was interesting to have that conversation and just say, look, as someone from the global majority who is beginning to think about whether adoption is an option for me, then you're not talking to me. And how do we fix that? So so those are the first two aspects that I think of excellence: knowing yourself and being authentic. And then the other two aspects I would say are leaning into where you are amazing. Do jobs, jobs or tasks, whatever it is. If you have a career or you have it's not really an or. If you have a career or you have a job or you have a business, do stuff that is your superpower. If you're a person that is a people person and can talk to everybody and anybody and you're able to persuade and influence, do that. If you're a person who likes to go in, make decisions, solve problems, get it all done quick, do that. If you're a person who likes to take your time, you're very nurturing, you want to be the glue that makes sure that everything is done in the background, do that. If you're a person that likes the statistics, the details, the kind of thinking about different perspectives, do that. Make sure whatever you're doing is linked directly to what you are great at, because you can never fail. If you're doing a job that is linked to where you're great naturally, you can't fail it, because that's just you. On the flip side of that, everyone has blind spots. So mitigate against those. So where the where you're able to have other people that are opposite to you around you, either be in your team or in your support network, where there are people that are opposite to you, you need them because they're going to counteract some of your blind spots. So, for example, as I mentioned earlier, myself and my partner, we're complete opposites. I'm very introverted, very to myself. I'm very much about getting jobs done. He is a person that is people. He's very extroverted. He's very optimistic. He talks to everybody. We're complete polar opposites. But actually, we work so well together because we counteract each other. We complement each other. Sometimes I do have to look at him a bit side-eye. And him the same to me. But it works. I don't think I could date someone the same as me, because we'd be looking at each other very sarcastic every 2 minutes, and it probably wouldn't last very long. So it's important to have people that are different to you, that have those strengths. And it's almost like doing things that are natural to you. It's like writing with your dominant hand. For me, it's my right hand. So you do things and you just write with your dominant hand. When you're having to do things that are not natural to you, it's like writing with your non-dominant hand. It's not like you can't do it, but you're just not going to do it as great. It probably take you as long. It's going to take you longer, should I say. And it's probably not going to be to the greatest.
And it's going to be harder for you too, because
absolutely. It's going to be harder. You'd be able to do it, kind of, but I'll say to my friend the other day, stay in your lane. If that is your lane, and then just make sure you've got people around you or things around you that can mitigate against some of the things that are that you're struggling with. And that's some of the stuff that I teach the social workers that I'm working with. This is where you're going to be great, amazing, but there's parts of the job that you are going to have some challenges with. So let's put in some strategies to help you with those bits, because you're going to struggle with them, full stop. There's no ifs, buts or maybes. But let me help you to think about those and what you need in order to still be able to do the job, and that you can then not have your manager on your back about why you've not done certain things. So that's me with excellence. You're knowing your power and you're living your excellence, and that's for me what excellence is.
That's perfect. That is something I would have probably liked to ask, but it's going to be out of the discussion of excellence. But of course, it's important to the community, so I will just throw it out there. And I hope I'm not going to have double, maybe some other questions to ask on it, because it can be what it is. It's about the adoption, because you were saying something like a lot of black babies are out there open for adoption. There are no people coming out from the black community for the adoption, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But why are there so many black babies out there for adoption to start with?
So I would say it's not even so much babies. I think babies get adopted or can get adopted quite quickly. I think it's more the older children that are more challenging to place. And there's a number of different factors. So it's about their experiences. There may be sibling groups. And the number of adopters that are coming forward. And I think that's a major part of it. The adoption process is very intrusive in any way, right? And it needs to be, because we're placing vulnerable children with new parents, and we're hoping or expecting that they're going to be forever parents, that we want to make sure that they are I can't say fully equipped, but as equipped as possible to be able to provide permanent homes, forever homes for these children. But there's a challenge, because we have so many children who have probably already been through the care system, who are waiting for their forever family. But we have a lack of black adopters coming forward. And I think a lot of it is because people know that it's intrusive and they don't particularly want all their business out there. But also it may be things like themselves or their partners may not live in a house that may be considered good enough. So there's stipulations in the law at the moment in terms of, or in the guidance at the moment, that says things like you have to have a spare room available for a child that you want to adopt and things like that. So practical stuff where people may think, well, I don't have a spare room, so it's not going to be an option for me. Or they may have, somebody may have been arrested back in the day, so they have a mark on their criminal record, so they're immediately ruled out. Or there's lots of different things that could come up and completely just rule out somebody for going through for an adoption. So I think that I've got a wide circle of friends who are in a similar position as myself, thinking about, well, if we can't naturally have children, then I will 100% be a mother, and I'm not under any illusion about that. But I'm coming to the point where I'm just like, okay, well, my children may not necessarily be biologically linked to me, so I will fulfill my aspirations of being a mum, but they may not be biologically linked, and that's okay. So I need to work out what my options are. But I'm only one avatar, right? So I'm a professional, I'm in the social work space, so I kind of know what I would need to do. And I would probably consider it a good candidate, but there are so many other people who may not at first hand look like a good candidate to be a adopter. So if one of those people come forward and they say, oh, actually, I'm quite interested in being to be adopting a child, the response is so important. So if you go forward and you say, yeah, I want to be an adopter, if the agency doesn't respond in a way that's positive or encouraging, then I'm just going to be like, you know what, forget it.
If you enjoy this podcast, make sure you subscribe so you never miss any of our future episodes. Rate and review Obehi Podcast and share with your friends who might need it. I remain Obehi Ewanfo. Thank you so much for listening, and talk to you in the next episode.